please be seated. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tim Ridgway, Vice President of Health Affairs and Dean of the University of South Dakota Sanford School of Medicine. On behalf of our faculty and staff, I would like to extend greetings to our incoming medical students, their families, and their friends. Welcome to the class of 2025 White Coat Ceremony, a ceremony that's held in medical schools across the nation in recognition of the expectation society places on physicians. We are honored so many of you are able to celebrate with us today, both in person and via live stream. Thank you for joining us. Today's ceremony will conclude with the recitation of the affirmation of the physician, which is printed in the program. And at that time, we will invite all physicians here today to stand and join the students in reciting the affirmation. I would now like to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Benson Hsu. Dr. Hsu is professor and a pediatric clinical care medicine specialist. He is a sought-after clinical teacher and is particularly effective not only as a bedside teacher, but also in small groups and as a classroom instructor. Dr. Hsu was the recipient of the distinguished Chester McVeigh Award for Excellence in Research and Teaching. He is also the founder of the Equitas Health Honor Society to identify, recognize, and develop future physician leaders to address the health inequities that exist in our society today. I would now like to invite our guest speaker, Dr. Benson Hsu, to address our new doctors in training. Dr. Hsu.
He was terrified. A 7-year-old boy, he came to his doctor because of a recent cough and fever. In the clinic, people he didn't recognize started sticking things in his nose. First, clear tube blowing air. Next, a thin metal stick with a very strange Q-tip at the end. Thankfully, after all that, he was finally left alone with his mom. He felt tired. He was grateful for the iPad the nurses gave him to play with. But all of a sudden, everything changed. The doctors came back wearing masks and weird white hats, making them look like astronauts behind their blue gowns. He couldn't hear them or understand them, and not being able to see their face clearly made everything so scary. Yet it was when he looked at his mom that he realized something was not right. Concerned but smiling just minutes ago, his mom was now crying and calling his dad, asking him to meet them at the hospital. The little boy didn't understand why, but he knew something was most definitely wrong. This case, and thousands of cases like this last spring, from nursing homes to elementary schools, turned our profession upside down. We are now entering a field in the midst of profound change, in the midst of crisis. The truth is, the COVID-19 pandemic was unexpected. In order to address this unexpected crisis, healthcare had to pivot rapidly. We started to care for our patients over Zoom and on the phone at a level we never considered or achieved before. We reconsidered what was absolutely necessary and learned what we could go without. We found that wearing face masks all the time really was okay, and something, of course, our surgical colleagues were already well aware of. And we were innovative in our solutions, using what was available, testing countless treatment modalities, researching new and old ways to treat our patients. Despite the unexpected pandemic, our profession's passion and devotion to our patients and community was nothing but expected. Throughout this crisis, we've also rediscovered a fundamental truth about this profession. You see, COVID-19 highlighted what many of us physicians realized through years of hard-earned experience, that too often our science is insufficient, and that we are only at the beginning of truly understanding how the human body works. We initially thought we should not put breathing tubes in patients struggling to breathe, and instead try more non-invasive maneuvers. And that turned out to be wrong. We thought hydroxychloroquine was the answer. It was not. We thought maybe convalescent plasma from patients who survived can help those still struggling. It did not. Ultimately, we discovered that the simple things work more often than the complex. Flipping patients onto their belly so that the lungs filled the air differently worked surprisingly well. And the simple steroid, an anti-inflammatory medication that we've used for decades, was found to be our best bet. More than science, more than treatment, deep into the pandemic, as the virus ravaged the community, our community, as hundreds of our family members, our friends, our neighbors packed our hospitals, we came to realize that our patients desperately needed something else out of our textbooks. They needed a human connection, and they needed our human connection. Given the infectious nature of COVID-19, visitors to hospitals were limited, often even at the end of life. Yet at the end of life, parents want to say goodbye to their sons and daughters. Sisters want to say goodbye to their brothers. Instead of being able to do so in person at the bedside, countless instances of these conversations were had over iPads and other devices held by their caregivers. I know of many caregivers who took part in these last conversations, and even though the emotional stress and trauma of these conversations were devastating and will be with them for all their lives, every one of them will tell you that was the most important care that they provide. In the midst of chaos and changes brought on by the pandemic, we lived a fundamental truth of our profession, that medicine requires humanity. It requires that we meet our patients and our families during times of vulnerability and meet them not with sterile knowledge, but with compassion, with caring, and with empathy. To be a physician, a provider, does not always mean purely the science. And as you'll discover in the years to come, true answers, actual cures in medicine are elusive and even more scary, often not possible. Instead, we care by holding our patients' hands through our comforting words and by being present. This is a fundamental truth of medicine, the profession you're entering. The pandemic, however, revealed more than just this fundamental truth. The pandemic revealed the population that we have inadvertently left behind. In combating COVID-19, deep inequities that had existed in the shadows came to light. The CDC reported that during this pandemic, Black Americans have had hospitalization and death rates 9 times as high as white Americans. American Indians and Alaska Natives have seen 9 times as many cases. Latinx and Hispanic Americans have seen 3 times as many deaths. All this is not to alarm you as you start in this profession. It's not to dishearten nor to discourage. Instead, all this is to say that there is still much work that needs to be done. That return to normal should not be our goal. That instead we should aim higher and be better than before. This is your challenge. Winston Churchill is credited with the statement, "Don't waste a good crisis." The time was World War II, but I believe that this statement still applies today. During times of crisis, change happens very quickly. We witnessed this through the COVID-19 vaccine. Vaccine development, including the novel mRNA delivery vehicle, came together at a speed previously unimagined. What has resulted is the single largest vaccination of the global population in the shortest time ever seen. Granted, much work still needs to be done. What else can our profession achieve during this time of crisis? What else should our profession achieve? As you take this next step of donning your white coats, I hope you can all recognize the gravity of the moment. Just about 20 years ago, in a time of much more hair, I too was in your position, about to receive my white coat. Yet I did not fully comprehend the journey that I was starting. I did not comprehend that in the next 4 years I would bring life into the world. I did not comprehend that in the next 4 years I would see a life lost. More importantly, I did not comprehend that in the next 4 years my presence was not just that of a medical student, but one of a witness to some of the most important moments of an individual's life. And as you progress in your careers and as your white coat lengthens, you'll start to occupy a new position in society, in your patient's eyes. More than just a learner, more than just a witness, you'll be seen as a healer. After today, your role in society will be set. You will serve not only to improve your patient's health, but your role is to care for entire communities, your communities. If I may offer some words of advice, I urge you to see our profession, this profession of medicine, not as stagnant, not one that you're just joining, fulfilled to be a member and a witness to events. I urge you to see our profession of medicine as evolving, one that you can mold and change to address the gaps and inequities created by my generation and the generations past. In 1973, Ursula Le Guin wrote a short story titled "The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas." In this short story, she describes a utopia-like state for all the citizens of Omelas, their festivities and much happiness. However, there's a catch. Deep in the basement, a house in Olas, there's a child. This child is hungry. This child is neglected. This child is dirty and unloved. He cries out, and yet he is ignored by the people of Omelas, for they know that without this child, their utopia would disappear. In our time and in our reality, Omelas is our healthcare system, a seemingly wonderful reality with almost unimaginable scientific advances in medical care, provided at a level not seen in the majority of the world. But make no mistake, we too have a child in our Omelas, in our utopia. Our child is those without insurance. Our child is those without socioeconomic security. Our child is those living in communities of color. As you put on your white coat for the very first time today, know that we are all so excited to see you start this amazing journey. Each and every one of us who have come before you will serve as your teachers, your mentors, your guides, sounding boards, and among many other roles. But the most important role we will serve is that we will be your cheerleaders. Because you are our next generation. You are our hope for change. You are our hope that we can be better, that we can be better at caring for the child in our Omelas. How will you not waste this crisis? How will you meet this challenge? Godspeed, University of South Dakota Sanford School Best Class of 2025. I am certain you will all rise to this challenge, and I'm so excited to be a witness to your journey.
Thank you, Dr. Shu. You guys getting a feeling of the magnitude of this, eh? I share with Dr. Shu that this isn't intended to intimidate or scare you. This is to excite you, because it's a really good day. Remember his words. Remember them throughout your 4 years of medical school. So welcome. We look forward to this time of year every year. It's a chance for both you to renew, and it's a chance for us to renew. It's a new beginning for all of us. So perhaps some of you have met your classmates, maybe not. Let me tell you something about yourselves. This class includes 71 students, 2 of whom are pursuing an MD, PhD degree. 52% of you are female, 48% male. You graduated from 33 colleges, 7 from South Dakota, 15 from border states, and 11 from non-border states. Your average age is 24 years, but 17 of you are age 26 or older. You represent 29 different South Dakota high schools. 35% have a rural background, growing up in towns of less than 10,000, and 54% of you graduated from towns of less than 30,000. A few short months ago, you were college students. Step-by-step journey largely centered on classes, textbooks, taking exams. That changes now. In medical school, the things you learn are important, not just to pass a test, but to treat your patients. Learning the anatomy of the body is critical to learning how to do a physical examination, let alone doing surgery. It is important to know when to order a blood test, and equally important to know when not to. 40 years ago, from this year, 1981, there was another epidemic. It came to be known as the AIDS epidemic. Now, students, you may know about it from a historical perspective. Perhaps you learned a little bit about it in undergraduate. I'm sure some of you in the audience remember it. I was knee-deep in training at the time. This is the 40th anniversary year. In 1981, 5 young men with a gay lifestyle were treated with this very bizarre pneumonia that we knew existed, but only in people who had a severely compromised immune system. By the end of 2019, it was called AIDS, and it had taken the lives of more than 700,000 people in the United States and 32 million globally. The experience of patient fatalities and subsequent grief was overwhelming. One physician at the time said, quotes, "The onslaught of death and dying of young men and women was beyond the usual and professional commitments. I learned how to become skilled at providing people with a decent death. Physicians learned to care, hold hands, and manage a dignified end." One physician recalled, and I quote, "The horror of watching as society as a whole turned its back on this suffering. The horror of watching as many of my own colleagues refused to help, refused to care, refused to act as the professionals they were supposed to be." You see, we were terrified. There was this fear that the caregivers were going to contract this disease. And in addition, there was a real paranoia about the gay lifestyle. And when you put those two things together, it was quite alarming. Interest in palliative care and death and dying is really one of the enduring consequences of this epidemic. Fast forward to COVID-19. You heard Dr. Hsu speak about it. One physician who lived in that AIDS epidemic era and also is caring for COVID patients said it best. Quotes, "Maybe I just had bad luck to have to stare into the gates of hell twice in a career." So fast forward to the emergence of something we call the medical humanities: philosophy, history, visual arts, writing, film. And what they focus on is the question, what does it mean to make a healer? To train people who can attend to suffering. I would argue this is an essential part of medical education, not a luxury. I believe it's foundational, and I believe that these crises speak to that. Yes, on your board examinations, there's not a whole lot about the humanities. Yeah, there's some bedside manners and ethics, but that's about it. There's this notion that the humanities can be enjoyable for speculation and self-expression, but really they don't have a lot to do with the discovery of medical knowledge, so why bother? It's argued that earlier societies, despite the fact that they had bloodletting, leeches, you went to barbers for your health care, missed out on the technological advances, but they grasped something about the human condition that modern medicine has lost. We have incredible technology. We have an explosion of knowledge. In case you haven't noticed the theme today, this school also wants to keep the humanity in all of you, because in the end, that's what the public demands and deserves. One physician was quoted as saying, "Yeah, people say the arts make you feel good and reflect, but hey, there are patients to see. There's revenue to generate. So go ahead and do your wellness thing, but then come back to reality." History, literature, and philosophy aren't just good training grounds for an empathetic bedside manner. They shed light on the big questions of healing and suffering. So as medical schools revisit their curriculums in a post-COVID age, I suggest we follow you, the students' lead. Your generation is demanding more. And we as a medical school need to listen. And medical schools around the country need to listen. The white coat you put on today symbolizes the journey you're beginning. We have faith in you. We have an award-winning faculty and staff that stand ready to help you on this journey. Your patients will also be your teachers. They are the reason for your profession. Many of you can be concerned about changes to the structure of medical practice, healthcare reform, but what you have to realize is the structure of medicine is always changing. It always has, sometimes slow, sometimes radical. If you went into medicine for the right reasons, which I would argue is for the patients, then I'm here to tell you, you have made a great choice, and you're going to have a phenomenal career ahead of you. What your concern needs to be is about being the best caregiver you can possibly be. Being a doctor requires more than just knowing the right answer. It requires us to be worthy of a patient's trust, to see patients as dignified human beings, and to work respectfully within a team. You're not always going to know what to do. You learn to recognize when to ask for help or seek an answer for a suffering patient. Sometimes the only answer is to support your patient on his or her final journey. You will find that medical school is both challenging and rewarding. We have the privilege of working closely with some of the best minds and of the nicest people in the country. In this new beginning, we share a sense of optimism, and we truly look forward to the future. We will now have the presentation of the white coats, led by Dr. Dawn Bragg, our Dean of Medical Student Affairs. All of you are welcome to come forward and take pictures as the students are presented alphabetically. Dr. Benjamin Aker, immediate past president of the South Dakota State Medical Association, and Dr. Benson Hsu, our speaker today, along with our campus deans, Dr. Lori Hansen, Dr. Michelle Schimmelfennig, and Dr. Matthew Simmons, will be assisting me with the white coat presentation, as well as many physician family members who are in our audience today. After each student receives their white coat, they will also receive a Littman cardiology stethoscope, sponsored by alumni of our medical school. We thank our alumni for their generosity and their continued support of our students. Yes, students, you have a tremendous amount of support from our alumni as well as from the State Medical Association. Dr. Bragg will now lead the presentation of the white coats. Dr. Bragg.
Medical students, please come forward when your name is called with your color. Owen Alvine, a graduate of Washington High School and the University of South Dakota. Helene Barwari is coached by her uncle, Dr. Ali Hassim, a graduate of Roosevelt High School and South Dakota State University. Kira M. Beckman, a graduate of West Springfield High School and the College of William and Mary. Amarita Bahia is hosted by her mother, Dr. Jyoti Bahia, a graduate of Lourdes High School and St. Olaf College. Matthew Billion, a graduate of O'Gorman High School and St. John's University. Gavin Bowman, a graduate of Brandon Valley High School and Augustana University. Austin Joseph Cheney, a graduate of Chamberlain High School and Fort Lewis College. Gabriel De Paula, a graduate of Scotch Plains Fanwood High School and Villanova University. Michaela Derby, a graduate of Estillane High School and Stanford University. Allison Eaton is coached by her grandfather, Dr. David Eaton. She's a graduate of St. Thomas More High School and the University of South Dakota. Kevin Richard Feldhaus is coached by his grandfather, Dr. Richard Feldhaus. He's a graduate of Roncalli Catholic High School and the Xavier University. Claire Forrester, a graduate of Stevens High School, the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities. Jesse Gates, a graduate of T. Fuchs High School and the Carleton College. Brock Gerard Gaden, a graduate of Yankton High School and the University of South Dakota. Raina Grimsley, a graduate of Mitchell High School and South Dakota State University. Andrew Diamond, a graduate of Stevens High School and Oral Roberts University. Joshua James Holsing is coached by his sister, Dr. Kindra Holsing. He's a graduate of Aberdeen Christian School at Oral Roberts University. Jared Heiser, a graduate of Elk Point Jefferson High School and the University of Iowa. Tiffany Johnson, a graduate of Central High School and the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology. Marilee Neeland is coached by her father-in-law, Dr. Paul Rasmussen. She's a graduate of Heritage Christian School and Montana State University, Bozeman. Rachel Kosho, a graduate of St. Thomas More Catholic High School and South Dakota School of Mines and Technology. Aaron Copo, graduate of El Point Jefferson High School and Mount Marty University. Robert Kowitz, a graduate of Watertown High School and South Dakota State University. He is quoted in honor of his father, the late Dr. Jeff Kowitz. Alexandra Kraft, a graduate of Lincoln High School and Augustana University. Lindsay Alina Krobath, graduate of Thompson Valley High School and Colorado State University. Rachel Crome. She's quoted by her mother, Dr. Lori Crome. She's a graduate of Martin Luther High School and Concordia University. Josh Lambert, a graduate of Lincoln High School and Augustana University. Bailey Lichter, a graduate of Millard West High School, University of Nebraska, Lincoln. Nicholas Luby, quoted by his father, Dr. John Luby, a graduate of Stevens High School and Montana State University, Bozeman. Kirsten May, a graduate of Yankton High School and the University of South Dakota. Rachel Mercer is quoted by her brother-in-law, Dr. Adam Bleeker, a graduate of Kingsley Pearson High School and Northwestern College. Travis Mills, a graduate of St. Thomas More High School and Chadron State College. Taylor Modlin, a graduate of East High School and the University of South Dakota. Joshua Mose, a graduate of King High School and South Dakota State University. Madigan Moore, a graduate of Watertown High School and Augustana University. Kayla Morissette, a graduate of Tartan Senior High and South Dakota School of Mines and Technology. Jerica Music, a graduate of Haddock Area High School and Drake University. Laura Elizabeth Nelson, graduate of Gayville-Volan High School and the University of South Dakota. Andrew Nerland, a graduate of Gorman High School and the University of South Dakota. Nerese Nicolette, a graduate of Lincoln High School and the University of North Dakota, main campus. Austin Norton, a graduate of Dakota Valley High School and Morningside College. Trey Olson, a graduate of Stevens High School and Augustana University. Hannah Powell, a graduate of Brandon Valley High School and Northwestern College. Riley Terrell Paulson, a graduate of Yankton High School and the University of South Dakota. Mark Peterwright is coached by his father, Dr. Daniel Peterwright, a graduate of Stevens High School, Montana State University, Bozeman. Emily Peterson, a graduate of T.F. Riggs High School and the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Jacob Peterson, a graduate of Kenton High School and the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Bailey Pickering, graduate of Harrisburg High School and the South Dakota State University. Adam Rasmussen is coached by his father, Dr. Paul Rasmussen, a graduate of Mitchell Christian School and Montana State University, Bozeman. Alyssa Reinschmidt is coached by her father, Dr. John Reinschmidt, a graduate of Brandon Valley High School and the University of South Dakota. Andrew Reuter, coached by his mother, Dr. Suzanne Reuter, a graduate of Gorham High School and the University of South Dakota. Julia Reinhaupt, a graduate of Beresford High School and South Dakota State University. John Henry Richter is coached by his father, Dr. Dan Richter, a graduate of Creighton Prep School and Marquette University. Angela Roberts, a graduate of O'Gorman High School and the University of South Florida. Alexander Rodriguez, a graduate of Mitchell High School and the University of South Dakota. Chester Samuelson, a graduate of Spearfish High School and the University of Wyoming. Nadia Zanaidi is quoted by her mother, Dr. Zofre Safai, a graduate of Dubai American Academy and the University of Washington. Jessica Scheer, a graduate of Annandale Senior High and South Dakota State University. Kaylin Smith, a graduate of Mitchell High School and South Dakota State University. Nathan Marcus Statham, a graduate of Baltic High School and Dakota Wesleyan University. Jillian Stamp, a graduate of Washington High School and Augustana University. Joel Stroman, a graduate of West High School and the University of South Dakota. Cole Tessendorf, a graduate of Lakeview High School and Augustana University. Sena Uzunlar, a graduate of Stevens High School and University of Minnesota Twin Cities. Jacob Vaca is hooded by his father, Dr. Anthony Vaca. He's a graduate of St. Anthony Academy and Augustana University. John Samuel Vassar, graduate of Central High School and Utah State University. Keely Walker. Keely is coached by her aunt, Dr. Mary Schneider, graduate of West Fargo High School and the University of North Dakota main campus. Andy Weisbeck, a graduate of Brookings High School and the North Dakota State University main campus. Christopher Wixon, a graduate of Centerville High School and McMurray University. Congratulations and welcome, class of 2025.
So how do those coats feel? Wear them well and use those stethoscopes. You'll find a lot of good use the next 4 years. I now would like to invite Dr. Benjamin Aker, immediate past president of the South Dakota State Medical Association, to lead the affirmation of the physician. All physicians in the audience today are encouraged to stand and join along in the recitation with the students. Dr. Aker.
Students, we also please stand. And read with me. Now being admitted to the high calling of the physician, I solemnly pledge to consecrate my life to the care of the sick, the promotion of health, and the service of humanity. In the spirit of those who have inspired and taught me, I will seek constantly to grow in knowledge, understanding, and skills, and will work with my colleagues to promote all that is worthy in the ancient and honorable profession of medicine. My professionalism and intellectual curiosity will be laced with the compassion for the individual in an impersonal world. The health and dignity of my patient will ever be my first concern. I will hold in confidence all that my patient relates to me. I will not permit consideration of race, religion, nationality, or social standing to come between me and my duty to anyone in need of my services. Compensation for my services will be fair and tempered by individual needs. This pledge I make freely and upon my honor. You may be seated.
So this concludes the 2021 White Coat Ceremony. We welcome all of our students to the Sanford School of Medicine and to the medical profession. Welcome to our family. We look forward to seeing each of you become dedicated, skilled, and kind physicians, and we applaud your commitment to humanity. The stage party will now recess, followed by the students. Guests, you're welcome to take pictures after recessional. Again, congratulations to all of you, and good luck. Thank you for attending today.